Welcome, teachers. My name is Chris Sherman, and in this lesson I'm going to show you how to create folders in Schoology. Folders are used in Schoology to organize the content of your course. If used effectively, the teacher can use folders to organize the course in such a way that it is intuitive for students to navigate through the assignments and resources you have provided. So let's get started by learning how to create folders in Schoology. Here we have a blank course home page. To create your first folder, click on the Add Materials button and select Add Folder. A Create Folder window will open. In the title text box, you will enter the unit title. I'm creating a science unit on investigating cell structures and functions. At this point, you could click on the Create button and you would have created your first folder. However, there are other features in this window that can help your students navigate through your course. For example, Schoology gives me the option to add color to my folders. Now, some teachers change the color of a folder simply to add color to the course. However, a more strategic use of these color options is to color code your folders. Doing this is one way to help your students locate where they should be. For example, you might choose to use the color green to designate the folder in which students are currently working. The color red or orange might designate folders containing content from a unit that most students have already completed. The color blue might be for folders of future units. Of course, I'm not suggesting that you have to color code folders because there are other ways to indicate which folder students should be working in on any given day. Color coding folders requires more maintenance on the part of the teacher, and I don't want to unnecessarily add to your workload. Therefore, I'm not going to color code this folder. I will leave it at the blue color. In the description text box, I'm going to add an image and some text that describes what we will be studying in the unit. Now let me be clear. It is not necessary to add an image or text to a folder. However, a lot of teachers like to use images, and I do think it helps make your course look more appealing to your students. Adding some text that describes more fully what is inside the folder can also be helpful. So let's begin by looking at how to add an image. Before you can insert an image, you must first download an image from Google or some other source for images. It should be an image that illustrates the topic of the unit. You can download the image and save it to your laptop. Then, using the Preview app on your laptop, you can resize the image so that it is an appropriate size for a folder image. The image shouldn't be more than about 200 pixels in height. You don't want an image on your folder to be too large because it will take up a lot of space on your screen. In this case, I have already downloaded and saved an image of a cell from a site called ClipArt Library. I have also resized the image using the Preview app. To insert that image, I will click on the Insert Content button and select Image. An Insert Media window will open, and I will click on the Attach File button. A document window will open. I will locate the image of the cell, select it, and then click on the Open button. The image now appears in the description window. However, the image is still a little too large. I can resize the image by selecting it and then clicking on these handles and shrinking it to the appropriate size. Watch how this is done. I also want to make sure that I place this image at the top of the window. Since I also want to add some descriptive text to the right-hand side of this image, I need to edit the image. To edit the image, select it, and then click on the Image button that appears. An Edit Image window will open. First, I want to change the alignment. I want the image aligned to the left of my text. Click on the Alignment drop-down window and select Left. Next, I want to add a little white space around the image so that the text does not bleed into the image. I usually add about 10 pixels of white space around the image. In the horizontal space text box, I will enter the number 10 and then click on the Update button. It doesn't look like anything has changed, but trust me, it has. Finally, I'm going to add some text to describe what the unit is all about. First, using the arrow keys, place your cursor to the right-hand side of your image. Then, enter your text. You will want the text to be in the middle of your image. Notice I also have a simple editing toolbar. I can use this toolbar to edit the text, but at this point, I don't need to do any editing. Next, let's look at the date options. Adding a start and an end date to your folder is important because it tells your students how long they will be working in this unit. In this case, it will take about 24 days or 5 weeks to complete this unit. Therefore, I'm going to add a start date of August the 12th. The end date will be 5 weeks later. So I'm going to open this end date calendar and count 5 weeks. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to select September the 16th for an end date. Now, whenever my students log into this course, they will know to open this folder anytime between August the 12th and September the 16th. This means I don't have to keep telling my students where to go because they will know. This is a simple way to empower your students to take responsibility for their learning. Under Availability, the default option is Published, which means that my students can see the folder and open it. However, if you are not finished adding content to the folder, you can leave it unpublished until it is ready for students to see. You also have the option to make the folder available on a start date or at a date range for the folder. The only problem with the last two options, you are assuming that there won't be any interruptions in the school schedule and that you will cover all the material in previous units right on time. For the purposes of this lesson, I will set availability to Published. Finally, click on the Create button to save your work. This is what your folder might look like when you are finished. This completes this lesson on creating a folder. In our next lesson, we will continue by looking at how we can organize your course by adding additional folders.